Hi, this is Asim.
This is Sujoy.
This is Amrita.
And you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast about the three main Khans of the Hindi film industry.
Aamir,
Salman,
and Shara. Hi, you're listening to Khandaan, a Bollywood podcast regular feed. Thank you so much for your support over the years. We now have a Patreon channel with bonus content and exclusive merch for those of you who would like to support us. Every dollar goes towards creating more and better content. Visit us at patreon.com/Khandaan podcast.
Hi and welcome to a new episode of Khandaan Podcast. My name is Asim Bernie and I'm joined with my lovely co-hosts Amrita and Sujoy. Hey Amrita, hey Sujoy.
Hey everybody.
Hello.
Sujoy, the public has been missing you, man.
Yeah, public has been saying gumshuda ho gaya. Kahan chala gaya? It's not missing out of concern. They're like, has he been banned from Khandaan or something?
No, I was getting CVs, man. I was like, dear sirs, my application for the co-host. I told them the pay and then I never heard back from them.
What's the pay? Ye pay kya hota hai? You guys are getting paid? You know that meme?
ये salary वैली कभी दिखी नहीं और salary किसको रखी होती है? How you been, man?
I've had a month of crisis after crisis. It's been, in the words of Paul Thomas Anderson, one battle after another. I've been homeless. I have been the victim of the Indian customs.
I want to let's do it this way. I want to hear all of this, but I think let's put this on Patreon.
Yeah.
I think this becomes too private, and I think if you want our private thoughts, join Patreon. This is not for public consumption. Let's get into the show. Maybe that might be a better idea.
Okay, sure.
We're talking about a few things. Me and Sujoy saw Homebound. We all saw Too Much, the new show with Twinkle and Kajol on Prime, and then also just a bit of random stuff that we want to talk about. But I want to get Sujoy, you weren't there on the Bads of Bollywood episode that we did.
I caught up a bit of you guys had a swell time with our podcast friend Sachin. I really wanted to be there, but obviously there were like circumstances and time and scheduling and all that.
Yeah. And I think also the show has just been very much still in the news.
Mm-hmm.
Like we haven't found, there's always like Bollywood has a weekly topic to talk about. And we're the third or second weekend and it's still Bads of Bollywood mostly, I would say. And I think the Netflix team and Aryan and Red Chilies, they're doing a great job of marketing and kind of, spreading out the longevity of the show. I think there's also been... Amrita, has there been an official confirmation or there's been samosa confirmation, right?
Yeah, I mean, it came in Filmfare, which is about as close as you can get to an official confirmation without Red Chilies doing like a press release.
I guess it's also more official if it comes from Taran Adarsh or Himesh Mankad or, one of those guys.
I said samosa. I covered them without mentioning their names, man. You don't have to call out people.
Jitesh Pillai is still the editor of Filmfare. So, and he is like in the know of all of these people. So I can't imagine. And also there was like a thing that I meant to specifically call out during the conversation that we had with Sachin, because both you and Sachin were talking about like how you were so certain that there wouldn't be a season 2. But the reason I brought up season 2 is because Lakshya said in season 2 we would do like blah blah blah. And that was my reference. Like I wasn't thinking of season 2 by myself. So I think there will be a season 2 actually.
Did we mansplain it, Amrita? I'm sorry
yes,
if we did.
A little bit.
We railroaded you with our opinions that it's never going to happen.
But also just talking about the continuing promotion of this show. I don't know if you know this, but Aryan has been directing all the little asides that Bats has been coming out with. So, that alternative Gafur thing where it's Bobby and then like the rest of the cast, and they're all dancing to Gafoor. That was apparently directed by Aryan. And there's now one that has just come out that is Raghav Juyal meets like the three bad men plus Rajat Bedi. And like all of them try out their iconic Batman dialogues on him, and he's just like, "Chee, you're the real Batman." And it's very like it's very in tune with the show, and it's very clever marketing. Like I obviously like Shah Rukh ka beta hai, he knows what his marketing should be.
Yeah, I do feel it's funny the erasure of Arshad Warsi in the Gafoor promos, which I just find
Yeah,
fascinating. Like he's just not there. Like, he's not there in the title track. He's not there in the and
he's not on the
that's like
poster.
I feel. Yeah, it feels like that happens a lot to Arshad Warsi. Unfortunately, like he does get sidelined a bit, and although like we were so happy when he appeared. But Sujoy, I want to hear your thoughts. Like, what did you think of Bad of Bollywood?
Um, I guess everybody has said already, like everything that has to be said about the show. This show has been such a water cooler conversation for a lot of people, and it's fascinating to see that in the era of binge watching, how this show keeps the conversation, rolling, even for like blinds and gossip, Reddit and stuff. But my thoughts are pretty much the same as you guys. Like it's very much from the mind of a 20-year-old. Like there's so much of that jock humor that's there. But it's fascinating that you would think that this is like, at least from the promos, I had judged that this was going to be about as close to Farah Khan rather than Zoya Akhtar in terms of how the film references and all of the politics and the gossip and the cameos and all of that. But at the end of it, there is a story arc going on, which again ties into what we had sort of criticized about the show title. How why does it have the asterisk mark, which is then revealed in the final episode? Um, and yeah, it ties it really smartly in the end. And I will not claim that I had gotten what the show was going to be about until that final reveal happened. I was completely like the rug was pulled out of me. It was like, wow, okay, they went there, and yeah, it was very cleverly done, I think. And I think that there is a lot of fun to be had, especially this, because we have a Bollywood podcast. It is like very much our cup of tea. It is very much for people who sleep, eat, breathe Bollywood, and otherwise I don't think people will get as much fun out of this show. It's very much a very filmy a show, and it has all the references, the cameos, the meta humor, the nudge nudge, winks at several controversies that we have sort of chatted about on the show. It's very much that. It also is very wholesome in a way how Jarad's just plot is played in this. Rajat Bedi has been that sort of outcast from the industry in a way, and how he comes into the show, and so he's sort of pivotal in the unraveling of the plot, which is very interesting. Because Jaraj in Hindi also means bastard, which is,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
it's such a clever play on words. Some things did not work, or some cameos did not work. Like the whole Badshah element did not work for me at all. The whole subplot of Manoj Pawa's musical career was a bit meh,
Yeah,
because I
yeah.
thought,
It didn't go
yeah,
anywhere, right?
Manoj Pawa as an actor, I thought he deserved better. But he was pretty much given the Delhi uncle subplot that he will come into the scene just to, gallify Badsha, which I think Aryan has some feelings about Badsha. um, But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it overall, more than what I expected it to be. Like like even from the first episode, the voice was pretty clear where he was going with the humor, with the
Mm.
subplots, with the the friendship angle with Raghav's character, and especially the whole drugs say no to drugs thing, and then it just cuts to written and directed by Aryan Khan. It was like, yes,
I saw that Inspector Wonk had also wanted to
one.
sue him for defamation, and the court was like, "No, Wankhead, you're not getting a court."
One.
Like they dismissed it immediately, right?
I
What I loved about that was that immediately afterwards, all the press people swarmed him as he was, I don't know, outside the court or whatever, and they were asking him questions about it. And he literally sounded like he was right out of this show because he was just like, Satyameva Jayate. And he was just like,
yeah,
it was like this word salad where he was like talking about like drugs and youth and everything. And I was just like, my God, like that whole time that Aryan was getting
yeah,
terrorized in custody, he was just sort of like taking notes and he was just going like, aha, this is his catchphrase. Aha, this is how he deflects questions.
yeah,
Aha. Like, he just went through the entire checklist. Um, but it's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, it was.
Aryan, got pulled into that, and he made gold out of it, pretty much.
Also because I wasn't like I knew that was happening, but I'm not watching Indian media, so like I'm sure that this was when it was happening. This was really a big PR push for this guy, and he was on camera all the
Yeah, yeah.
time. I'd not seen him in a while, so when now they put the picture next to the guy he cast, I was like, man, they really got Wankhead's twin for this, right? Like, how do you cast it so
I love
specifically?
that the
You know,
legacy of this man is going to be Asim calling him Wankhead.
is that not how you pronounce it?
uh, yeah.
Yeah, that was really
I don't
a
know
good
if you
one. Yeah.
guys talked enough about Imran Hashmi's cameo as what does he play? Intimacy director.
Yeah, in the
Funny. That's
intimacy
so funny.
coordinator.
It is
Yeah.
mad casting choice, man, and the whole Raghav Juyal bit of him singing "Kaho na kaho" to him, including the Arabic lyrics, chef's kiss.
It's the joke, and this is a joke that I like, that you do not
Yeah,
stop. You keep going even when the joke is dead. You keep going, and I thought that was the hilarious
yeah,
part of it. I just thought that was like, yeah, it's literally one of my favorite things is the Imran Hashmi
yeah,
part, and yeah.
yeah. Um, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the show more than I expected it to be,
Mm,
and I can't say that much about other shows that have come out of Netflix. One
yeah.
little
It's
complaint,
been a while,
yeah,
right? It's been a while that like Netflix just had a good show to watch. Even like I think we were discussing that in like an episode not too long ago, that the slate has been really really empty. Although they've been doing a lot, none of it has really hit.
one little complaint that I have is the look of the show is still very generic Netflix. It looks like a Netflix product rather than it stands upon its own
Yeah,
feet, trying to look like a different show. It's very much that color palette. It's very much the same production quality in a way, which I would say, a Red Chili production would have rather than
yeah,
it's very much like Fame Game looked. It's pretty much the same.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and also, I guess the film critic stand in, the one guy who represents all film critics of Bombay. It was like a bit lazy in that department. But other than that, it's pretty much a very enjoyable show for me. Especially we like I haven't mentioned Bobby Deol as Ajay Talwar. He was like such a great stand-in for the Shah Rukh of that universe, because he's had a resurgence in the last couple of years, and yeah, that was mad casting, especially also like choosing Dunya Hasino Kamela as the reveal song and all of that, retro fitting it into that world. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Amrita, have you been rewatching it? Like it's been like a week or something. Sometimes you would just want to rewatch it because I think you really enjoyed it, right? Did you have this urge to like, oh, maybe I should rewatch it, or you didn't have time?
I've just been like watching, I didn't really have time to rewatch the entire thing, but I actually did go back and rewatch the massage parlor scene because it is genuinely one of my
So
favorite
silly. It's
bits
so
of
silly.
slapstick.
Yeah.
That like it's been a long time since I saw slapstick in a Hindi context and done that well. The expression on his face when he squirts the oil on himself.
And also the hero motion of how he picks up the bottle,
Yeah.
like in the zoom, it's like when like in a masala fight, like he pulls out a sword or something like that. He's
That's
doing that
so
with like
like
baby oil.
Farah Khan coded for me. It's
Yeah. But also, I was really heartened to see so many people pick up on that dynamic that I was telling you guys about, which is the one between Pervez and Salim,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
where
Come on, yaar.
he's just like,
तू
"Yeah, come
कैसा
on,
है बे?
yeah, मैं कैसा हूँ रे?" And then they do the little silly dance together. I mean, it's so cute. Yeah, it's very true to life in a way, and I just really enjoy it.
Yeah. No, it's also I'm just happy for everybody involved.
Yeah.
This kind of getting a moment to shine again. Even like Rajat Bedi, I'm seeing so many clips of '90s kids remember him like this. And it's like it's Rajat Bedi, obviously we remember. But yeah, it's true. Like people just don't like. I think I saw an interview because Bobby Deol is on literally every podcast now too, and he was saying that kids had forgotten me in Race 3, and for us that sounds like an absurd thought, but that's just kind of the reality. Kids might have forgotten him until he came back for Race 3. Yeah, so I'm glad everybody's getting a moment to shine again. Shakti Kapoor and even like the villains from the past, except apparently Arshad Warsi. I don't know why they've not like put him
Yeah.
forward. You feel it though, right? Like I'm not the only one that's
Yeah.
feeling. Yeah.
Especially because Arshad can dance and he has that hit song that is in his
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
So I don't see why he wouldn't
Yeah.
And
do
he's
like
so
one of
good.
those.
He's good in
Yeah.
camera. He's good in like just like little moments and stuff like that. It's just weird that he's not. And I deserve. He deserves the shine. He's so good. Like we were so happy when he appeared.
It's such a
Yeah.
funny call out to that Gafoor track when he shoots the guy who is on the mic and he's like, मैं
Yeah.
कब से अंडरवर्ल्ड हो रहा हूँ, ये मेरा नाम माइक पे चिल्ला.
Yeah. Yeah. And like even this week, I think Jolly LLB 3 is out, right? Have you seen Arshad do any
No.
press? Like I've literally not seen anything. Akshay was on that Kapil Sharma show, but
Yeah.
it's weird. I don't know what's going on. It's really weird.
Well, I did see an Instagram reel where Arshad was talking about the lovely house that he and Maria have in Goa. So maybe he just went off to Goa to chill and he's just like, I don't give a shit about any of you and your crappy movies or shows. I'm just like sorted for
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So I hope that's the reason. And, he's having a good time.
Come talk to us, Arshad. I think we'll give you the platform.
Yeah.
We love you. We want to talk about all of the, It's just, again, talking about like 90s kids, and I remember when he came on screen in Tere Mere Sapne?
Yeah.
Like, it was such a thing. Like, it was such a moment, right? Like, the way he was dancing and that mullet and that leather jacket and just the whole energy of Aankh Mare, it was such a thing. Like a star had arrived almost, and then just shit went downhill.
Yeah, even Tere Mere Sapne did not land except for that song,
No.
sadly.
Yeah, it's sad. Like he had such potential, It's a shame. Okay, we saw. So talking about streaming shows, the other streaming show that did come on Prime is Too Much with Twinkle and Kajol. And what a coup that they had of getting Salman and Aamir for literally their first episode together.
Yeah.
I think the next one is Varun and Alia.
For the
which is
Sunny
coming out in a
Sanskari
couple of
movie.
days. Yeah, weirdly, because like the slate has been so empty when you guys were talking about it. Amrita, you were. I was like, is this on Prime? Like, which platform is it in? Or like, I didn't even know. So First episode came out. I watched it on the Eurostar coming back from Paris. This is like the oddest way to watch this show. But yeah, Amrita, what did you think of the first episode of Too Much?
You know, this one was a real roller coaster because I think I texted you guys when I'd seen about 10 minutes of this show. And I was like, oh my God, so this is what Salman is like when he's with people that he feels comfortable in, like he's with his, maybe friends is like stretching it a bit. But at least one friend and like two women that he's known for like most of his life.
It had very dost ki biwi energy. It had very dost ki
Ha,
biwi energy. Like the way
yeah.
Salman approaches it.
And and the way that Twinkle especially was talking to Amir and Salman, like she calls him tu, she like, like tu kar kya raha hai, like, like things like that. It's a very informal vibe, and
Mm.
it's very different even from their appearances on Kejo's
Yeah.
show, because when they're on Coffee with Karan, you can tell that they're a little bit on guard because the questions that Karan asks. Whereas here they seem like really relaxed and everything. And then they kept talking, and I was like, maybe a little bit of guardedness is a good thing because
The
I don't need
cameras
to
are
know
on,
this.
baby. Yeah.
Like Amir was like a little bit weird, but Salman just went like full on village Tao. Like he just went like, like mental health, like there is no such thing like lassi piyo or like kushti karo and then your mental
But
health will be okay. And
I've heard that speech from so many people though. Like so many people believe this. Like this is how they approach their nothing. But I also think that's really the way he's like putting on. He's not putting on a front. He really
no,
No,
believes
no,
that.
no,
no.
You know.
no.
It just
No,
felt like one of
nobody thought
those.
he was putting it on.
It very much felt like a throwback to the Lehre interview days. Do you know what I mean? No filter. Like Salman ko पूछा and
Yeah.
Salman ने बता दिया. तुम सुनना है तो
Yeah.
सुनो नहीं तो निकल दो. That
Yeah.
it's very much that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really wanted to Nicolo from there, but I stuck around just for the audience. So all of
Freaking
you
hell!
owe
It was
me one.
such a long episode, and they
Yeah.
had so many games, and I did not want to participate in any of the games.
Yeah, I didn't like the game section at all. I didn't like it. I also didn't like the whole food section. Like they come in and they force them to have food, and Salman doesn't want to eat anything. And then like Amir is really into the beli or whatever that the bela. What is he
Dabeli.
eating?
Dabeli.
Yeah, I was like, why is Amir such a dabeli fan? Like, what's going on here? He's like,
Like he was chowing down like he hadn't seen food in days. He was
yeah,
just like chomp, chomp,
It's
chomp.
a
Like he
Mumbai
didn't even
street
have
food,
anything to
which
say.
probably they can't go out to eat.
yeah. No,
I mean,
that section didn't work at all. But you know what it was? I thought the first 20 minutes of the episode were actually quite awkward.
Hmm.
I don't think they could find a rhythm, and then I think the longer it goes along, then it actually starts to get interesting at the points where you're like, oh my God, why are you even saying that? But I thought those were the interesting parts because it took them a real long time to find a groove. And this is literally first episode. Also, just find it very it's such an echo chamber, right? Because there's no live audience. And it feels like a very large and very empty sets with different segments. And I don't know. For me, it took a while for them to kind of settle that they're having like a one-on-one conversation. Even the way the couch setting is done, and the way, and also just Kajol and Twinkle have a very odd energy. Like I don't know, they're like, do they know each other? Like I didn't know this was a combination. Like
I mean, they explained it where, they apparently just met at some interview and then they were just like, oh, hey, like, I think we could be. And I can see why somebody would think that they are a good match because both of them are really loud and they bring the boss girl energy. But honestly, like, neither of them know how to run an interview,
yeah,
you know?
yeah.
They don't know what to say. They don't know how to do the follow-up questions. And they're so used to being the center of attention themselves that they can't really cede
Mm.
space to the other people.
Yeah.
So it's just a very awkward of like, wait, I thought it was my turn in the sun. No, no, it's my turn in the sun. And so it's just like four narcissists getting together and trying to jostle for
I'd be
space.
interested to
But
see how Varun reacts in that space because he's another one of those Duracell bunnies, so.
I think there was probably a lot of editing and chopping
Mhm.
happening. Like you could
Though
feel it. There was
imagine
such
then, like, what's the unedited footage? It was like 4 hours they hung
yeah.
out together, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's like, especially like Kajal was like, the thing is also that I have to say, like, I don't feel for like having these four people, a lot of the stories that they were kind of starting, it was stories that we already knew,
Hmm.
like Salman's mixture that he makes, like I've heard that's true. Maybe it's just me. I make like something
It's just
similar, so
you,
I know what
Asim.
it
You've
is.
done your
It's
research.
just me, but yeah, I make something similar like that. So maybe that's one of those things that I just knew, but like I don't know. I don't think they delve necessarily too deeply in Amir's divorces. Even like there's a lot of these elements that I feel we knew already. So you would think that if these are stars, like why didn't we hear a story about their actual movies that they shot, like Ishq, or like he didn't even know, like Kajol didn't even know how many movies she's been with Amir in. Like Amir had to reply to her like, what are you doing, like in terms of like background checks.
Like Twinkle didn't know how to pronounce his daughter's name.
Yeah, those
Like,
kind of
I'm
things
just
like
like,
that.
it's like really basic. Like you should at
Yeah,
least know that much about the people that you're interviewing. But that's
yeah,
what I meant by these are not people who are used to ceding space to other people and like actually thinking about like, oh, this person,
yeah,
like
yeah,
how, what can we ask? And then also when they did get to more intimate questions, there was like a weird vibe to the whole thing where they wanted to ask Amir about his divorces and stuff, but they were just like, oh, we're living vicariously through you, and I'm just like,
yeah.
what the hell
What
kind of
the
framing is
Yeah.
Yeah,
that?
I didn't understand. Like even Amir was confused. He was like, "What do you mean? Why did you say that? Like, what do you mean?"
Which is really a missed opportunity because Amir is like, he's proved over the last year that he's like literally on a journey to share as much about himself as possible, to the point where you are just like, sir, like it's okay, like we don't need to hear all of
Amir is like,
this.
"Pucho zara pucho."
मुझे क्या हुआ है?
and and Salman was clearly like comfortable enough to be his real self, which happens like once in a
Yeah,
long blue moon with Salman. And so they could have actually had them like really spill the beans while they were
yeah.
on that couch. And instead, it was just like ridiculous.
One thing I discovered.
Sujoy, what do you think?
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry, I was going to ask you, what did you think of Salman and Amir together and kind of their bonding? Like, what did you think of that?
I did not know that they were not friends for so long and only became close as friends when Amir was going through divorce with Reena. And only then, like, because Amir's divorce with Reena happened after Lagan, I would say, right? So
Yeah.
before that, they've been friends for so long. Like they've acted in movies before that, and Andaz Apna Apna happened before that. Obviously, Amir did. Reveal that after Andaz Apna Apna, he did not want to be in a movie with Salman because of how he shoots and all that. But yeah, I was kind of surprised of how they were not friends for so long, and then they have been friends after that. And
Well, clearly you didn't sit through the 4-hour interview that he did with Lalan Top on
oh no,
YouTube, where he spoke about this at length for some reason.
It's like 3 hours he
Um,
talked about just that.
yeah. It was like it was genuinely like I buy it. Like I buy that they are
yeah, yeah,
friends.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Can I
Like
before you tell me what he said? I have a feeling it was all Amir's fault. Is that like,
oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
that's what
yeah,
I feel like that, because I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
yeah.
like Salman creates issues on that level
Hmm.
necessarily. I think, and I think he said it a bit in this too, that it was all in his head and he was a different person. I don't know. Is that what he confirmed in London Top?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. So I mean, this is something that he said, and this is how I know that he actually has been to therapy, and his therapist is holding him accountable, because he talks about how he was a very hard
Yeah,
person, or he used to be a very hard
on
person.
himself as
And what
well,
he
not just other
basically,
people, but on
yeah,
himself. Yeah.
yeah. And I also understand where that comes from, because he grew up with like a very mercurial parent. Like he's spoken about his father having like, like issues, and like the way that his father, like you never knew whether it would be like good dad or bad dad
Hmm.
that was like gonna come in through the door. And that kind of uncertainty sort of like made him like super critical. I don't know if he's connected those dots, but I could clearly see like, what it would do to somebody to grow up in that sort of
Mm.
environment. And I also now understand why Amir is a good actor, because you need to perform when you're in a household like that.
Hmm.
And I get it. Um, but yeah, I believe, and also it was just very interesting to me that these four people were they're all like very successful in their different ways. Um, Twinkle, it's not like a Bollywood success as such, but she's married to a superstar. She's the daughter of like the superstar. And her mom is like a giant star. She's worked with all the Khans, like even if you want to say that, like she's pretty much the face of Nepo privilege when you think about it, because people give Janvi a hard time, but you should have seen Twinkle Khanna
Mm.
during her time, because Janvi looks like Meryl Streep compared to Twinkle Khanna.
Rupa.
Um, but like like I was looking at all of them, and they all are pretty much the poster children for Nepo privilege when you look at it through those very stringent lens. But the stories they all have are about like how they started acting in the business, because like they didn't have
Yeah.
money and they didn't have any other options, and
It was a very
like
different
Amir has,
generation for Nepo kids to make it
Mhm.
to the industry. It really meant like,
Yeah,
starting to work at 16.
yeah. And they all did,
Hmm.
they all started that young, and they started like doing like really lowly jobs. Like none of them got like a
No.
launch as
Yeah.
such. They all just like worked their ways up, and they've all like, they don't talk a lot about the struggles that they've seen in their lives, but it comes through, like every so like Amir has spoken repeatedly about that experience of what it was like for him to be singled out as a child at school because his parents hadn't paid the school fees. And like it's just a very like it's very interesting to me to see like the kind of nuance that gets lost in all this talk of Nepo baby privilege.
Yeah, yeah. I also thought like even Salman was talking about that a little bit, like, and it was just funny to hear that how terrible the teachers were even then. Like, and these are
Yeah.
actual star kids, and this is how they're being treated. I do think Salman was hilarious though. Like, I was texting you guys, I was like, this guy is so funny. Like, I just vibe with his
Yeah.
humor until he gets too uncle, and then I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Itna bhi nahi, bhai. Itna bhi nahi.
I can't follow you here, man.
What I did find interesting that how Amir is so physical with Salman. He just keeps hugging him or just keeps tapping him. It's that kind of a bond that they share, and it was like Amir could not stop doing that throughout the interview, even though they were sat so far apart. He kept saying Salman aisa hai, Salman aisa karta tha, and he would roll up on the set this late, and we were rehearsing for so long, but he would just show up and do the scene, and they were like, yeah. And Amir was like, Salman was like, I was doing 3 movies at a time, man. you know?
Yeah. Which I thought was interesting because a lot of times you get this story about Salman is always late, Salman is always
Hmm.
late. But if it was good to hear his
Yeah.
perspective from it, right? This where this lateness is coming from, because he has like, and it's true. Like I think at that time he was literally doing 4 or 5 movies, like the old like 80s style of working.
Yeah.
Like, and I think only Salman has really done that because Amir and Shah Rukh had a different approach to how they wanted to do this thing, but Salman was just churning them out, right? Um, I also like that how uplifting they were to each
Hmm.
other. They were really bigging each other up, and they were like, obviously there was a bit of like making fun, and a lot of times on Amir's, which I always find interesting. Like when you look at group dynamics, there always is an alpha, and there's always like somebody that gets shit on,
And there's
and this
always,
was clearly
yeah,
Amir.
there's always a mamu in the conversation.
Yeah. And clearly it was like, even like he's like I think even Twinkle and Amir was like, "Kitty jaldi jaldi insult marti." That was hilarious.
What I found
Yeah.
interesting.
I did.
Sorry, go ahead, Amrita.
No, go ahead. No,
What
no, go
I
ahead.
learned for the first time is, I knew about Salman's illness and what he was going through physically. I did not know that happened during the time of Partner. It was that long back, and like,
That was actually the funniest part to me because they were trying to excuse the fact that he sort of checked out over the last 10 years in his movies. And they were just like, oh, you were in pain, right? And he was like, no, 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 that was long ago. I've been okay. And just
They gave
dialing
him
it
so
in.
many chances.
yeah,
They gave
the
him so
last
many
the last
chances.
few years are totally on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They went back to it over and over and over again. They were like, no, no, recently, right? Recently. And he was like, nope, that's been solved for a long time. I
Yeah.
am absolutely okay.
Yeah. And the other thing that they also gave them a pass is when they were talking about younger
Yeah.
actresses. Like, again,
Yeah.
that was such a good moment to ask that question to Salman specifically, but because they wanted to kind of make it general and not attack him, it went nowhere. And I think I think the framing, again, like Amrita, you were saying, the framing wasn't correct, and I would blame this on maybe the writers of it, the way or I don't know if Twinkle was able to deliver it. It was something was off in it, and I think it could have been a very powerful moment, and it wasn't, and I think that was kind
Yeah.
of unfortunate.
And that whole, like, when they tried to like do the whole like, well, would you act with somebody like, Kajol was like, well, I don't get the chance to act with men who are like 15 years younger than me. And then Sana was like, well, you don't get scripts like that very often, do you? And I'm just like, yeah, and why is that,
Hmm.
Brainiac?
Yeah.
Like, like, think about it a little bit.
Yeah.
It is just, yeah, these are the whole powness of like Salman and Amir doing like, yes, yes, I support you, full patriarchy. It was just really nauseating.
Yeah. Yeah. But are you excited for the next few episodes? You're looking forward to it? I don't know who else is coming. I think.
I'll watch
Yeah.
it. I'll
Yeah.
watch it.
It's long, though. It's
Yeah.
long, right?
It's long.
Yeah.
I
I don't know if.
sorry, I did like Amir singing. Like, Amir was given a chance to sing because apparently he's learning to
Yeah.
sing, and the first song that he sang was "Do Mastane" from Andaz Apna Apna, which nobody sings when they are told to sing. And I was like, okay, he really lives in the nostalgia of Andaz Apna Apna, and I love him for that.
Yeah. What are they working on? I don't even know what their next. I think Salman is doing that Galwan movie or something
Hmm.
like that, like a war movie. I saw him shoot for that. I don't know what Amir is doing next. Actually, like, what is that look he has at the moment? Like, I don't know.
Oh, he's doing that Pakistan, like Lahore 1947 movie.
Right. Okay.
That's what he's
Okay.
doing.
I should have recognized it because that's how we walk around in Pakistan.
Are all of you overweight and with like giant muchis?
Yeah. But yeah, Salman was not looking healthy. Also, like, and I don't know what's up, if he's off movies or something like that. I don't. He doesn't. He
No,
doesn't
he's
look.
shooting for Galwan.
Yeah. So that's what I don't understand. Like, why is he? Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna be watching the next episodes. I think I saw Janvi was in one of them.
Janvi and Kejo, Varun and
KJ.
Alia.
Yeah.
Govinda, there is one that I want to
Yeah,
see.
Oh, right. That's good. I
with
wanna
a
see.
wig, I think, or really like
Yeah.
dyed hair.
Yeah. 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 And I
Yeah.
think what isn't that the thing where Kejo, Karan, and Twinkle are really really good friends, or used to be really
Yeah,
really
Yeah.
good friends, or
they went
something
to
like
the
that?
same
Yeah.
school or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she bullied him or something like that. I think that's what she
Yeah,
said.
and she was apparently the only woman that he's ever loved.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a fun watch. I don't know if it's going to be like an immediate watch where I'm like, oh, it's dropped an episode, I'm going to watch it straight away. I think I need to kind of like pace myself with them. So let's see. Um, so Joy,
Yes,
you and me got the chance to watch
we
Homebound,
did.
right?
Yes,
We saw the UK cut. I think that's first of all something
it's
that
like
we
a
have to
festival
kind of establish.
screener, I think. Yeah.
Exactly, because Amrita, you got into a kerfuffle on the internet. What happened? Can you tell us?
Why do I even go to Twitter anymore? I don't understand. Like, if it's not the people on the right, then it's people on the left that are like pissing me off. So here's the thing, like Homebound is in theaters in India right now. It was released this last Friday. And it is a pretty significant movie for Neeraj Ghaywan because it came out after 10 years. Like his last movie was 10 years ago.
Full feature.
And his full length movie was 10 years ago. He's done Gili Pucci in the meantime, which was fantastic, by the way. And uh, the Censor Board of India, being the Censor Board of India, even though this movie is our official submission for the Oscars, they went through a whole bunch of cuts um, for Homebound, and there is a list that is being circulated online of the cuts, but uh, to me, those lists are never really very helpful in evaluating how badly a movie has been edited or not, because I don't have any context. So I can write anything you want in that list, and what does it really mean in the context of the film? Um, but anyway, now obviously there's like a whole bunch of people who really loathe the censor board, and they really dislike the actions of the censor board, and I am one of those people. Like, I don't support the censor. I don't know anybody who in their right minds, or who is a student of cinema or loves cinema and is also like, you know what, the censor board, that's who we support. um that being said, like, it's also true that it's really hard in the Hindi film industry to greenlight movies that touch upon caste or go against the current government, or take an explicitly political stance about anything. And this movie does all of those things, I believe, which Sujoy and Asim will discuss in a bit. And a lot of these people who've been talking about like how much they hate censorship um, began piling on to the point where other people began saying, oh, you know what, I'm just going to pirate this. And one particular person tagged Neeraj Ghaywan himself and said, hey, I'm going to pirate your film because this is what happened. And I was like, A, don't tag the director of a film when he's come. Like, I don't even know how much Neeraj Ghaywan's had to fight to have this movie come through.
The
All right.
audacity of
Yeah.
it to do that, like I was like, wow. It was
Like,
shocking. Like I was flabbergasted.
it's just like bad manners on top of everything else, it's just like, how are you like centering yourself and your feelings? Like, do you think like Neeraj Ghaywan is sitting there going like, yay, like, they butchered my movie, hooray? Like, you think he's happy? Of course he's not. And there's the initial reports about what went down at the censor board were also talking about how they really like went all out to humiliate Neeraj Ghaywan when they did the certification of this film. So apparently it was a really tense meeting. They didn't have any specifics, but they spoke about like how he was basically harangued for like a long time, and they really like fought for like everything to be like dialed down. And it makes sense because this movie is about a very specific time in India, and it's a very sensitive matter for the government, etc. So I fully believe that is how it went down. But this movie is also produced by
Yeah.
Dharma, And a lot of people are like, why didn't Dharma like fight against the censor board and like, push it, and like they could have done something. And I'm just like, have you met this government?
The
Like,
Dharma
I'm sure they
literally
push back as much as
Dharma
possible.
literally went to war for Dharak 2, and that movie was pushed and pushed and pushed. Do you remember when the original release schedule was?
Yeah,
And yeah, and both movies came out this year somehow, but and both are sort of similar in their tone of messaging and the subject matter that they're dealing
yeah.
with, and both were met with utmost resistance from the government, from the censor board. And like what do you do in such a situation? I mean, when push comes to shove, you have to sort of take the hit in some way so that your movie reaches out to your audience.
I think, funnily enough, actually, the movie itself has a very strong message again. That which is one of the most, which I thought was a very powerful sequence, which didn't get censored. I mean, I want to get into that a
I
little
know.
bit, but I
Mm.
think. Sorry, Amrita. Sorry, did you want to continue? Was there anything else before I?
Yeah, so when this whole thing was happening, I basically, so Neeraj Ghaywan, like this was how bad it was. Like he literally came into the comments of this one person who tagged him and said that they were going to pirate it. And he was like, please watch it in the theaters, right?
Hmm.
And then this man has the audacity to turn it all around and be like, well, tell me how it was censored and convince me to watch it. And I'm like, who the F are you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what? Like, who died and like left you the king of like all cinema dumb? Like, what nonsense? So basically, I didn't even like engage with this person. I just like quote tweeted Neeraj's tweet, and I was just like, listen, here's how the movie business works. You're not sending a message to the censor board by pirating this film, because
Yeah.
like think a little bit, like use your brain a little bit. Like, you think the censor board cares whether like this movie is a hit or a flop? Like, they're happy that it's a flop, they're
People are
happy
not
that
going to
nobody's
watch it.
watching this film. So you're only sending a message to like the producers that like, hey, don't bother putting your money in this, because even the audience for whom this movie is made won't go out to support it,
Mm.
right? And I was like immediately like a whole bunch of like performative people who, like, some of them are like people I've known for years, people I like, people I've interacted with, but they just like came on and they were just like, oh, like we don't owe it to anybody, like, we're sending out the message that we will stand for something. And I'm like, listen, you want to do satyagraha, like go and do it, like at some point where it actually makes a difference. Don't do this rubbish, like this is just performative bullshit. That's what it is.
Amrita, he
Your
has
dislike.
620 followers though on Twitter.
Oh,
So
wow.
like
Wow. Like, like your dislike for dharma and what Kejo stands for, and the fact that Kejo is basically kissing up to the present government, like you need to be able to hold multiple realities at once as an adult. Like, it's true, like Keijo is a piece of shit and he's like doing like all these like really sus things, but it's also true that he's the only one who put his money behind Neeraj, you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So it's like two things are possible at
Yeah.
once, and you need to be able to deal with that kind of complexity. Anyway, so this became a topic for discourse, TM, and everybody was like, well, like, you're wrong. And I was like, I don't really care for your opinion because you're
But
wrong.
I do want to give space also to there is a I do think we're slightly older than a lot of people on
Oh, yeah.
social media and things like that, and I think this is a discussion that I see a lot. Like our age or our people, like our age sector gets talked about that we play respectability politics too much, that we're too forgiving on a lot of things, and the younger generation has a very high level of in terms of like a purity test. You have to be this and that. So I think a lot of those discussions are happening, and I don't know what the outcome of that will be, but I do see that across the board, globally and locally, conservative, right wing, horrible governments are winning. right? So however we want to talk about, liberalism or left ideas or stuff like that, our approach, we're not winning at the moment in any way, shape, or form, be it like flat out revolution or not. And I'm seeing this a lot because I mean, I run a research agency focused on diversity talk. So I speak and talk about a lot of these things within businesses too, and I'm hearing those same conversations. I'm hearing the same conversations when we go to a Free Palestine or Gaza march, where all of those actions and discussions are happening at the same time. So this is across the board; these conversations are happening. So I understand the point of view, which are we are we trying to, I think for us as a generation, and I think this comes from because we're coming from our parents, we focus a lot on the dollar at the end of the day, the economics of it, like if we go watch this, they will get made, more of these movies will get made. But their point of view is, what is the point of these movies getting made if they get watered down every time, and the watering is happening in front of our eyes, when even in the US we're seeing with Jimmy Kimmel and all of these things. I'm no fan of Jimmy Kimmel in any way, shape, or form, but we clearly see, even in the UK, we're seeing so much cancellation and so much. I mean, I don't need to speak with people who are in India. You guys are also living that reality. So I understand the point of view, that they're trying to make. Um, I just don't see what the path is for us to kind of come together and be able to fight. The same. In a way, we're on the same side. I, like you said, nobody's a fan of
Yeah,
censor board, but we just
yeah.
cannot find a compromise there, and I think that's kind of the loss of it, unfortunately.
I guess
Well, but now
if
that
if
you,
if
sorry.
Dharma released some sort of a um, an online voucher for people to claim if they went to watch the movie, you can get the uncensored bit sent to them on a Google Drive or something. That'd be amazing.
Mm, yeah.
I mean, like a lot of these, like when people are talking about, if you want that kind of change, if you are saying that I want to drive a change and I want to be the voice of that, then you need to actually do something in physical reality. You can't just sit on your computer, on your phone, and be like, like I am tweeting very loudly against this. Like that does not work. That is my number one issue with like young people who talk about like, oh, like, like we give no quarter, we are going to like do. And I respect the ones who are like walking the talk. Like I respect the hell out of Greta Thunberg right now. Like she's putting her life in danger. She is getting out there and she's putting her like her money where her mouth is. I respect that. But it's just like this very it's very easy to just talk about the change that you want to bring without actually understanding what the trickle down effect of that will be, because another person, and this was like somebody, I think it was Suhin who like started the whole thing, but he was giving the example of Anurag Kashyap, because he went to fight against the censor board for Urta Punjab and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, but like, let's take a look at Anurag Kashyap's career and what he himself has to say about it. Because, like, he made Punch, never came out, but everybody's seen it because they've pirated it, right? He made Black Friday, never came out. Everybody saw it because it was pirated. And by the time he made his third movie, he was just like, you know what? I'm ready to do whatever it takes for these movies to come out, because his career was basically over at that point. And it's the same, like he's literally giving all these interviews about like how he would have done things differently and about how he's left Bollywood because he can't get a movie made, and he's like physically left Bombay and he's moving to Kerala, you know?
Yeah, but I think what the next generation of people are basically trying to tell us is that we're losers. We lost. And I agree.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
that
mean?
is
Our
fine. That
approach
is fine.
our approach led to loss. Like the
Hmm.
in terms of balance, where we are
Hmm.
completely, we have no weapons, we have no
I
thing,
agree with
and
that.
and that's the thing that they're trying to tell us. And I think we have our defense mechanisms on.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of things, sometimes I feel maybe I shouldn't voice my opinion about these things because I'm too established in the establishment to be able to fight. I'm not able to, leave everything behind and go on a ship, and that's what you're saying, these people, like the people in Gaza, the people that are on the floor taking, they're shooting their reality, and then they're taking, mangled kids to hospitals, right? That's what they're doing, and at the end of the day, we're having some intellectual conversation about finding some workable way. I think I'm saying I'm trying to express their voice.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, that's not
No,
my
I
bad,
get it. I get it.
and I think that's
Yeah.
what it's a tough one. Like, I feel it's a tough, like, I saw this whole thing with, I was seeing this a lot with the Charlie Kirk assassination
Hmm.
that happened. We've veered so far away from what we were talking about, but I was like the thing is, like, I didn't want to voice my opinion about it, like, that when that was
Yeah.
happening, because it's a very American problem, first of all, and like, I don't think I can add anything substantial to it,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I struggle with a lot of these things because I also fighting the people that are, I basically agree with, but their approach is not the one I would take. But mine is a loser approach. I lost, so I don't know. Maybe these young kids
Us
are
as
just
a
better at it.
generation, we're not anarchic enough to stand up against all of these
We
things.
can. We're too
Yeah.
old. We've lost. We've lost
We're too
clearly.
old. We're too comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, yeah, let them fight. Let them rail in a way to a certain degree. Yeah. But yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. But like now that you've seen Homebound, what do you two think about the message that Homebound is bringing
Yeah.
out?
So Homebound is two friends from North India village pursue police jobs seeking dignity, but their friendship strains as desperation grows in their quest. That's a summary of. Because I'm just saying this because maybe a lot of people still haven't heard of Homebound, of the movie itself, except of all of these conversations that are happening, right? So, what is the movie about? Sujoy, what did you think of Homebound?
Uh, I would begin by saying this is probably my favorite Indian or Hindi movie of the year so far. And in a
Wow.
year of not many standouts, but this is an outstanding movie. It's made with so much empathy, love, care, tenderness in telling the story of these two sort of brothers separated at birth, sort of an emotion. One is a Hindu, one is a Hindu Dalit guy, played by Vishal Jetwa, and then there's Shoaib, who is a Muslim guy, played by Ishan Khattar. And there's Janvi, also she appears sporadically throughout the movie, but it's based on a true story, right? But the story of it was written in a New York Times article by Bashrat Peer about these two migrant workers who were working in Gujarat, and then they had to walk all the way back home during the COVID lockdown and the consequences of that. And it's emotionally like draining towards this. It was such a tough time in all our respective families and personal lives what we were going through during that time, and it took me back to that time and how easily we, well, not easily, obviously, we sort of try to forget that what we went through during that time, and it's very difficult to watch. But
Hmm.
that is only the last 40 minutes or so of this movie. The movie builds up to that, telling the stories of the lives of what these two guys were living through before that. It's basically how the system continuously works against them, the lives that they led, the struggles that these two boys had, and what millions and millions of young people in India go through unemployment, through systemic discrimination against the caste system and against Muslims in the country. It's pretty much that being depicted through the lives of Shoaib and what was his name? Chandan, played by Vishal Jetwa. It's a very, sentimental movie for me. Like I don't know if I'll be able to rewatch this, but it's one of those movies which really hits hard. Like I don't think if I would have watched this in the cinema, I would have lost it. I would have completely like bawled my eyes out.
Yeah, it's a very affecting movie. I'll also say I've seen the list of the cuts
Hmm.
that were published. I still think you should go watch the movie. I watched the English cut, so the British cut, the screener. So I'm glad we've watched the full thing. But I think, and the cuts are harsh. Like there's a lot of moments that they would hit so much better in terms of storytelling that if you had them in the movie. But I do think a lot of the strong moments in this movie still stand true. Obviously, for me, the Islamophobia aspect and of that really
Hmm.
hit me hard in this movie, and the day-to-day lives of Muslims in India and how they get treated, and the constant barrage of hate. And this is a thing that obviously even in the UK I feel that is a very, it's a day to day being a Muslim. If you're not treated as a here as a pedophile or a child rapist, you're a criminal or a terrorist, and the script keeps flipping every other day on you.
Hmm.
But I think with in India, what you're seeing definitely is also just the physical violence of
Hmm.
it and the ingrainedness of it. And I think there's a, especially the sequence that there's a I might I'll spoil a little thing. He there's a moment. So Shoaib Ishan Khatter is playing the Muslim, and he's basically a water boy in an office because he's waiting. He's passed the exam or he's given the exam for the police, but it's taking a while. So they're basically working in the meantime to be able to do that. And the way he gets treated by his Hindu manager is so insulting on like a base level. And there's a moment where he's done something cool. He's getting trained to be a salesperson. Like from a water boy, he works so hard that he becomes a salesperson. And at that moment, that Hindu manager, I can say Hindu, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
saying something. He is right. He invites him to the boss's party to watch
An India Pakistan match.
Pakistan cricket match. And both me and my wife were watching it, and we were holding our hearts because that is such a dangerous situation to be in for a Muslim person. And it shows it in such a, that sequence is so horrible, but so
Yeah.
real. You can really feel that this is exactly the lived reality.
I don't know if you caught the mini aggressions even when the match was going, but there is a point where one of the Muslim players, I don't follow cricket, but there is a Muslim cricket player from the Indian team who
Yeah,
bowls the final over, and there is a boundary, and one from the audience who are watching the match, they shout, "अबे ये पाकिस्तान की टीम से खेल रहा है क्या?" It's such a
yeah,
microaggression that is thrown like it's nothing, right? But this happens all the time in India, and like you can see the fear on Shoaib's face, like please don't lose, please
yeah.
don't lose, otherwise they will beat him up.
That, that's also what I want to say, because this matches reality now,
Hmm.
literally now, where even when India wins, they are not magnanimous in the
Yeah,
win. They still want to hurt,
yeah.
they still want to insult, they still want to belittle. And this is actually what's happening right now in the cricket matches being played now. And the point, there's one manager that has kind of been promoting and seen his talent. He's like a Hindu manager, and this is the line that struck the most to me. And this is not cut, this is in there, and that's why I'm saying this. He, and this is the thesis of the whole thing, where he says, if intelligent smart people do not speak up, what can I do in my position? Because the manager is saying, why didn't you tell people that this happened and this happened to you, this is the way you
You
were
should
treated?
say this. You
And
should say this exact words to them. And
yeah,
Shoaib retorts with that.
so,
If intelligent, grown up, smart people like you can't stand up for me, what position do I have to stand up and say something in my defense? And
yeah. And the heartbreak also, when, because the Hindu manager is making these constant jibes the whole time, like he wants him to get fired, he's asking for paperwork and Aadhaar cards and of his parents and stuff like that. But then when the boss also kind
Yeah,
of sides with him, when the moment you think that he's gonna set them straight, like the state, he's the state,
yeah,
right? And the heartbreak that you see, and even then Ishan doesn't raise his voice, he doesn't get angry like in a Bollywood moment where he, like, delivers some dialogue where he cuts everybody straight. He just says, sir, no sir. And then man, it broke my heart, and the performance that he does in it, it's gonna stick with me for the rest of my life, those sequences. There's shots that are so beautiful in this movie, when they're walking over a bridge and you see it lit from the
yeah.
top, when they're standing on a balcony and there's fireworks going back, and there's in the mundane, Neeraj finds such beauty. It's hauntingly beautiful. And also the proximity of friendship, the way it's shown in this movie, right? um Physical and
Yeah,
emotional. It's so, like I don't have that kind of friendship, because it's very coded in South Asian
yeah.
friendships, like the kind of holding physical hands, and like we were talking about earlier about Amir and Salman, like physically touching each other, and like sharing water bottles, that kind of thing. Sharing shirts when one has to go to a job,
Mhm.
the other, they only have one decent shirt, so he washes it and brings it over, right? That kind of physical proximity, that's something that I have never experienced, because that's not where I grew up, but I've seen it for sure. And now seeing it represented so accurately on screen is also just something very, very amazing. um, Also, shout out to Janvi, by the way. I think she does great. And we've been on the Janvi train. We've got a lot of shit for our Param Sundari, where we were positive about her, Sunny Sanskari, where we were positive about her. The TikTok comments were like attacking us from all sides. But she does amazing in this. She shines, and it's a very isolated storyline she has. She's not part of, the rest of it, but I think she's amazing in it. She's playing slightly, like, for me also, watching the movie, because it doesn't lay everything out.
Mhm.
I was googling stuff because I'm not aware
Yeah.
of a lot of the caste system and stuff like that, even to the part of the big reveal at the end, which I'm not going to get into now. But I had to Google what they exactly did, because the movie doesn't explain it to me. But I thought that was kind of okay.
Mhm.
But yeah, Sujoy, any other elements that stood out or you want to kind of point out in the
Yeah,
movie?
well, I mean, that the whole cricket scene was really outstanding, like from a writing perspective of how they wanted to deliver that message and drive that point home. A similar sort of scene was there in showing the class system, the caste system, and the discrimination when Vishal Jetwa's character Chandan has to continuously go to this police station and ask for what's happening with the, and this is a whole thing, like you hear about the police exams going for years and years, getting suspended and getting delayed and postponed, and then they somehow get through to the results, and then the physical examinations happen, and then it takes forever for that to again materialize into some sort of a employment letter. And even before that, he the whole thread of it is he feels the discrimination so much that he applies on the application form, he takes the general box because he doesn't want them to know that he is a scheduled caste, because well, he says in his own words, what if even if I get a job as a police officer, they will make me a janitor in the police station. It's incredibly like heartbreaking. And there's a scene where he goes to ask this to a senior police officer in the office, and he's like, "What's your name?" And then he says his name, and then he asks, keeps digging, like, "What's your surname?"
Yeah.
And he says Kumar, and then like it escalates from there. And at the end of it, he says something to the line, like effect of, "A lion in a pig skin will always, it will never be a lion. They will always remain a pig." And like, what the hell, man? Yeah,
Heartbreaking. Yeah, it was so. I mean, it felt like an assault, like, like it felt like it was so overwhelming, that sequence too. And the thing is, these are boys, they're young
Mhm.
boys, and they're taking on like grown men and institutes and like powers that are so much bigger than them. It's yeah, it just it shows you that in the grand scheme of things, how powerless you
Yeah.
are against so many of these, factors.
And
It's
like how big the odds are stacked against them, because it starts with the police entrance examination, and you see the magnitude of people that are applying, right?
yeah.
And the story obviously takes a full circle when the final letter comes. So it's taken that many years to get everything happen, and by this time he's just, you know.
So, I mean, I want to ask you this because obviously I've never been to India, but so the train sequence where they're at the train station, that seems real, right?
Mhm.
That seems quite accurate, doesn't it? Because just
What
like,
is the train sequence?
so there basically there's like a swarm of people about for the application of this exam, and it's a moment they're waiting for the train. They're all young people, and then the train comes to another track, and all of those people start running to get the
Yep.
train to the point where they're running over the tracks to catch it because it's coming from another thing, and then they just have to push and shove to get inside, and it feels so overwhelming and claustrophobic to be in that situation. But it felt also very real, that seems to be the reality
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
a lot of people. So I
It's
just,
just daily life.
I mean, yeah, like I wouldn't know because like that's not the class context that I grew up in. But yeah, like government jobs are basically your ticket to economic freedom and to, like to leave that kind of discriminatory poverty behind, right?
yeah,
I mean, there's still discrimination in the ranks or whatever, but it's still better than what you're leaving behind. So, but there's only like so many seats available,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, yeah,
Somebody was just talking the other day about like how for if you want like a seat at like one of the IITs, for example, which is like one of our like a premier government institutions of higher learning. There are 12 lakh or 1.2 million applicants every year for like 10,000 seats.
mm,
So when you're dealing with that kind of scale, people will do anything
yeah,
in order to just like. So there are all these videos that I've seen of like people like literally like the exam is for like the first 200 people who show up or whatever, and there's like 50,000 people waiting at the gates, and the moment the gates like unlock, they just like push through,
yeah,
and it's just a scramble to get to the front of the line. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm
It,
sure
it,
that was
it,
taken from real life.
it's interesting because just because this watching it, this, I mean, again, I come from a very privileged point of view when I'm visiting Pakistan for sure, but we don't have it to that scale just because we do not have that scale of India. So it's not something that we would see in the same way. Plus, the caste system is not the same, implemented the same way. So although there are similarities, we just don't have these kind of things. So it's quite interesting to see the difference between
Hmm.
two countries just because of the scale of India, and the kind of the like how big you guys are. But yeah, it was kind of eye opening to see it, that like this is the kind of reality to for a lot of people, that but I think the other movie we saw, what was it? Was a Restart to Zero? What was that movie that where he's passing that exam so many times? I'm blanking on the name.
12th
Sorry.
fail.
12th fail.
12 fail, 12 fail. Yeah, that's the one. But that's also kind of playing in that same
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
reality, just
Yeah.
the first part of it. I also have to say, because I went into this movie kind of blind, I was seeing some things. It was quite shocking when the whole COVID thing started happening, because I didn't know that was what the story
Mhm.
was about. Because the first, like you said, Sujoy, the first 40 minutes, an hour is really about the day to day struggle
Yeah.
of these two men, and their friendship and the strains of it. So it was quite a flip when that happened. I was like, oh my god, we're back in that time, and then it really hits you so
Yeah.
hard about what happened,
And
right?
something I don't know if the international media covered it, but it was during the first wave of COVID, which made national news, and it was to do with again, like the Islamophobia still continues even during the pandemic,
Yeah,
And
yeah,
when Shoaib gets asked his name, he says, "My name is Shoaib," and he gets his ID out. The police start beating him up as a super spreader, and and
yeah,
and then Vishal Chandan fakes his name as a Muslim guy so that he can join the beating along with his friend. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like really yeah, beautiful how their friendship evolves in during that even. But yeah, if you remember, Amrita, during the first
I
wave
do.
of COVID, the whole Jama
Yeah.
Masjid, Tablighi Jamaat, and all of that fake news, as a super spreader thing. Yeah, all of that.
Yeah, yeah, and again, I think also that was another difference between India and Pakistan to a certain degree. The level how hard COVID hit India was uncomparable with how it hit Pakistan. It's like the things you were seeing on screen, like it was horrible. I remember Pakistan wanted to send aid, even that then got rejected to by the Indian government, but it was just like horrible horror sequences, and seeing it, the reality of it kind of on a micro scale of it in this movie is it
And
really brings you down.
that was also one of the reasons why they really went against this movie
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
hard, is because they really sort of clamped down on depictions of what really went down during that
Mm,
time, because the government basically just like threw up its hands and was just like, well, you'll be fine. And it really wasn't fine for so many people. And I don't think I think like this is probably one of the few. I think there was that one movie that Hansel Mehta made, where they were
No,
talking about like what it was like, right?
not Hansal
Was
Mehta.
it Hansel Mehta?
What's his name?
it's the black and white
Yeah,
movie,
yeah, yeah.
right, that you're
Bheed.
talking about? Yeah,
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 Bheed,
yeah,
that's what it was.
yeah,
Anubhav
Anubhav
Sinha.
Sinha.
Was
yeah,
it Anubhav
Yeah.
Sinha? It was Anubhav Sinha.
yeah, it was, yeah.
But apart from that, like there really wasn't like much
Mm,
that like Bollywood as like Hindi cinema as such has not really grappled with what went down during the COVID years at all.
yeah.
So this is Neeraj Ghaywan, who is like, I'm sorry, but he's a much better director than Anubhav Sinha, and I can see why people were nervous about this.
I remember there was a Malayalam movie also we watched which
Yeah,
showed stories together. But again, it was more about the human level than ever talking about what the government was doing and how mismanaged it was, unfortunately. And yeah, bringing it back really kind of hits you. Yeah, I really, I mean, you can't say I enjoyed it or liked this movie, but I think it's very important to support this movie. And I think, Amrita, you didn't get a chance to watch it, but you did end up buying a ticket for it just to kind of support it.
I did.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
I don't think I'm in the right frame of mind to be watching this movie right now, but I definitely did buy a ticket. I bought two actually. I bought
Yeah.
like one for me and one for my brother.
Yeah, I did that for Abir Gulal, by the way.
Oh yeah. did did it come? Did it go? Like what happened
It
with
did,
Abir
but
Gulal?
it came, and a lot of my friends that are work in the media went, and it was exactly basically. I think what happened is because they knew they weren't going to get an Indian release for Abir Gural, they basically didn't spend any money on the final edit, on the final color grading, on the final pass through, and it's just like a unfinished kind of movie that doesn't kind of come together. And I think they just cut their losses and their budget where they could, so it just doesn't come together as a
Oh
movie,
man.
so it's not good.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think that's what happened.
It's
But
not
yeah,
coming on Netflix or anything?
I don't think they'll find a streamer. I mean, I think I've said this like before. So the problem that a lot of content from Pakistan gets is that the headquarters of the South Indian thing is set in India, and they just don't allow a lot of Pakistani content to
But
come through.
But I mean, I don't think this is Pakistani content, right? Like, I think this is like, isn't the makers are Indian,
They
aren't
are.
they? Or
It's
like
like
British
completely. Yeah, they
Asian?
shot it in. No, but
Yeah.
they've done a lot of Indian movies, and I'm wondering if that will even hurt. if that will even hurt their chances to make further projects, because they kind of created this thing. But yeah, it's
Mm.
Fawad is in there, so that makes it Pakistani, so it's
Oh,
yeah.
that's right.
But yeah, Homebound, I think I get it that you didn't want to watch it because it is a hard hitting movie. But I also think it's okay. It's okay. You can take it. Like, you can take this.
Hmm.
I didn't cry. Myself, I didn't cry. I know a lot of people did. And I did cry at Sayara, so I don't know what that says about me.
I didn't cry during Sayara either. I
Yeah.
mean,
So, but
bless
yeah,
the little children.
yeah. So, but it's a really, really, really good movie, and I agree with Sujoy. It's one of the best of the year, if not the best. So, strongly recommended. Sujoy, any final thing on Homebound you want to say?
I had written some random notes, but I can't make any sense out of it right now. But yeah, go watch this movie. It's a beautifully made
Yeah.
movie, like full of tenderness, full of empathy, and full of really sad stories about these two people. It's mostly about these two people, but yeah,
Yeah.
and like incredibly performed by these two people, Vishal Jetwa and
Yeah.
Ishan Khattar. They should be getting
Oh my God.
all the awards this season, next season, whenever Filmfare decides to. Do you know Filmfare is getting held for this year in October?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
when did
Yeah.
October become award season? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
I honestly think all of the performances are great. The fathers, the
the mothers.
mothers, Janvi, even the manager that's on the side of Ishan. I think they're all like, every performance just like kind of really hits it out of the park. It's really a thing to watch, a thing to behold. But yeah, this is our episode for this week. Amrita, where can people find you online?
Sadly, you can still find me on Twitter at Amrita IQ. But honestly, like, my safe space these days is Patreon. So check out, patreon.com/ Khandaan podcast. I say on every video that, we are also on YouTube, by the way. We are doing like a lot more video content this year. And people seem to like it. Like, so I don't know if you've checked it out, but you should come see what we look like and what we are talking about. And on every video, I talk about our Patreon, and I say, well, it's where we can talk about the things that we can't talk about anywhere else. And honestly, it's truer by the day, like, as you will know, as if you have listened to this episode. So come say hi. You can join for as little as $1, and like we have like things that we are doing just for Patreon. We have, you can, certain tiers can even choose movies for us to watch. There's all kinds of things happening.
Yeah, I think we're also going to be doing a Patreon listener picks in one of the next episodes.
Yes.
So that's another benefit that people on Patreon have. So, where can people find you online?
I'm still on my socials at 93K. You can follow Khandaan Podcast on all our socials at Khandaan Podcast. And just like Amrita said, if you support no censorship, support us on Patreon, where we speak our unfiltered thoughts at patreon.com/Khandaan Podcast.
Yeah. Also, yeah, like Amrita said, follow us on YouTube also, just because we're growing that. It's new for us. And I don't think we've, like, the amount of listeners we have on audio compared to what we have on YouTube is very different. Like, our numbers for audio are huge. And it's not there on
We just
video.
got monetized on YouTube, and it fills me at least with so much joy, us being the torchbearers of capitalism. We just got monetized, and please keep supporting us. Thank you for.
See, that's the point I was making about our generation. At the end of the day, it's the bottom dollar. But yeah. Plus, also, we need some fans, because the YouTube comments are killing us. They're making so much fun of us. So come and join us and add some
Somebody
positivity
called
there.
you what? Sapan Verma.
Sapan Verma.
I don't know what that means. Like I don't know what that means. Like, I don't even know who that is. I'll have to Google him. Like, I asked you guys and you didn't know. So
He had a cameo in Luck by Chance.
Oh, okay. Is he an actor?
He's a stand-up comic.
No, yeah.
Okay, cool. Anyway, drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com and join us for Patreon. Thanks for listening. क्या बोलती